You're listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast. It's time for British Wrestling's sharpshooter, your host, Stu Palmer.
Hello and a warm welcome to episode 20 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast. My guest this afternoon is Alex Talbot, also known as the Chosen Man, Xander Calaway. How's it going?
Very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Not too bad, mate, not too bad. Just been out for a walk. It's a bit nippy out, but not too bad. But I'm back now for this. Just a pleasure getting you on for this today, mate.
No problem. Absolute pleasure to be here. Got to be careful going for these walks these days. You never know who's infected around us.
My old man came out with that on the phone before. Should you be out? I was like, well, we haven't been told otherwise yet. So yeah, until I'm told. It was all right. Brisk walk. Anyway, right, I always begin with this question. When did you first start watching wrestling?
Oh God. I don't know when it was exactly, but it was a WCW show, and it was back in the day when Cartoon Network used to swap over at 9 o'clock to TNT.
Yeah.
And you used to get Nitro. And I remember being a kid, and my bedtime was 9 o'clock. I was that young, like, I had to be up for school, and I'd just sit quietly in the room and hope no one had noticed me, and I'd let Cartoon Network clock over, and I'd sit there, and I can remember it, my first memory is Goldberg just coming out in all of the sort of the sparks and the fireworks that he used to do, and it was amazing. And like from then, I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Obviously, you've said Goldberg was like one of the first ones you can remember. Who were some of your favourites among the roster in WCW at that time?
It was Goldberg was one of them. It's got to be said. I was a massive NWO fan as well. I liked the bad guys. Like, I've always liked the bad guys. But yeah, I can remember. I'm trying to think who else was there at the time when they started doing the cruiserweight stuff as well. And you had Jericho there. You had Eddie. You had Dean Malenko. And all sorts. It was just exciting to watch because it was different. Do you know what I mean?
I'm with you. I was watching. Obviously, Did you watch WWF as well then?
Well, no, because I didn't get it at the time. So to start with, I was just watching these little Nitro segments and stuff like that. And then it was a friend of the family's was like, "Oh, has he started watching wrestling?" I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tape it. And it was back in the days where you could tape the wrestling. So then what he'd do is he'd tape it for me in the night time.
Yeah.
And then he'd bring me the tape on the weekend. I'd watch it, and then I'd take the tape back to him, and he'd do it again for me and stuff like that. So I started off just WCW, and then it was WWE came in probably a couple of months afterwards.
What styles of wrestling did you like? Obviously, you've said about the cruiserweights, so I'm assuming you like the fast-paced action and that style. What sort of styles?
I think it was just the contrast, to be fair, because you had these monsters like Goldberg. I've mentioned his name loads now. Like Goldberg, it was just this huge, just specimen of a bloke throwing people around. But then on the other hand, you had these smaller guys that were just quick, fat, and they'd hit you with moves out of nowhere, and the reversals and stuff like that. It was amazing. I really do think it was like a golden era of sort of wrestling. The whole Monday Night Wars and stuff like that. Brilliant.
Who in WWE then? I said WWE, WWF. Who stood out for you back then?
It was the Undertaker. As soon as I started watching WWE, WWF, I was captivated by this giant of a man who'd be beaten to crap. And can I say that? Sorry, beaten to crap. You
can say. We've had many people swearing on here. Don't you worry.
That's all right.
You're all right.
I try and behave myself, but he'd get the absolute crap beaten out of him, and then he'd sit up, and that to me was that was the ultimate sort of superhuman. And I believed when I was a kid that this bloke could do this. I believed that this was real, and this man was out there, and incredible.
How did training in wrestling begin for you?
I always wanted to, but it was one of those nah, it'll never happen. Nah, it'll never happen. And then one day my missus said to me, she was like, well, why not? And I was like, yeah, actually, why not? So I found a training school, got in touch with them, was like, can I come down? And they were like, yeah, carry on. And it was as easy as that.
When did you have your first match then, Alex? Well, when did that come about?
Oh, it was my first sort of match, and I'm using it in air quotes. It was an over-the-top Royal Rumble spot, and it was in Kingshurst in Birmingham, and I didn't have any wrestling gear or anything, and it was just to get a feel of things. And yeah, just work the match and get thrown over the top rope, and it was great. And I remember coming backstage after the match and I was absolutely buzzing because like I'd been out there and I'd done something that I'd always wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, fair play. Like me personally, we just didn't have the schools at this end at North Wales. Now it's a different kettle of fish, but I always wanted to train. But obviously I'm a bit older now, and it just didn't happen for me. But cool that you could get trained there where you are. I'm presuming you're from Birmingham, Midlands way.
Yeah, the Black Country.
Yeah. Just to fast forward a bit now, like with the progression, when did you formulate your first gimmick, and what was your gimmick?
My first gimmick, I was a Russian character called Viktor Romanov. My promotion at the time that I was working for, great promotion. I've still got a lot of love for him now. A company called Pro Wrestling Live, PWL, based out of Darlaston. They are very much the traditional style of wrestling. The way they brought me into the business was second to none, like with the respect levels and what you have to learn to start with. And I honestly believe if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have the sort of enthusiasm and platform that I have now. They were brilliant, but they wanted like a big Russian character, and I was a big guy and I could do a semi-convincing Russian accent, so I was like, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds like fun.
How often were you getting booked around that time then for different promotions, or were you just with them?
With PWL, the schedule was intense. We were wrestling every weekend. You'd have at least a Friday or a Saturday night. We'd have a show. Sometimes both. Sometimes a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes you'd have a Friday night, a Saturday morning, a Saturday evening, a Sunday morning, and a Sunday evening. Like the matches that we managed to get in, and like during school holidays and stuff like that, they do outdoor camp shows and stuff like that. And, like I could easily wrestle 300 matches in a year, and I think I probably did close to that. Like because they're just so busy. But that is experience that you can't buy that. Do you know what I mean? Actual ring time, being out there, learning. Yeah, it's incredible.
It did a good way of cutting your teeth, I suppose, when you're in the early years with the character and stuff like that. That amount of matches, high amount of matches. That
very much so. Like I say, it's one of the things that I'm probably most grateful for. The guy that runs the business, a guy called Mad Dog Matt Powell. He's got an extremely loyal fan base. They turn up in like their hundreds to every show that he puts on. He could put a show on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and he'd get the draw Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And yeah, it was great. It almost felt like the old school going from town to town, because although you weren't going from town to town, you were going from venue to different venue to different venue and setting up, and everything was different, a little bit different here, a little bit different there. So you'd see a few new faces, a few old faces, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant.
Right, just to go a bit further on into your career, obviously I called you the chosen man, Xander Calaway, when I introduced you. So how did you come away from the Russian gimmick to then become Xander Calaway? How did that come about?
I parted ways with PWL, and I decided to try something new. And I was taught a valuable lesson when you were there is making sure that your character reflects yourself and is something you want to do. So Xander, Alexander, it was easy. It was my first name. It was, someone called me Al, someone called me Alex. It was always you covered yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because I remember a couple of times when I was Viktor Romanov, people were going, "Oh, Romanov, oh Victor," and I'd just be none the wiser, still looking at the wall or something like that. "Oh yeah, me. Sorry, that's me." But yeah, so I took that away from it, and then Calaway is obviously a tribute to Mark Calaway, the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Because I'm a massive Undertaker mark. But yeah, so I sat there and I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something new, and I used to sit there and cut promos to myself and stuff like that. I remember one of the things that I came up with was I wasn't born for this, but I was chosen for this, and I was like, chosen for the chosen man. Yeah, that'll work. And a quick Google search on the old Facebook and whatnot. No one else sort of had that sort of thing, so I was like, right, that's it. That's what I'm doing.
Did you change your moveset when you changed character?
Slightly. I just started doing things that the big Russian wouldn't have done before. So, like, I was a lot more agile with some of the stuff that I was doing. I was always one of the bigger guys, because I am a big guy. But I could do like a good drop kick. I could do like a good running knee. I could do all of these bigger moves that you wouldn't expect a guy my size to be able to do. So I just thought, well, I'll give them a go now, and I'll mix it up with them. So yeah, so I implemented a little bit of that in. So like in the middle of my match, sometimes now you'll see me doing the big suplexes, the big slams and stuff like that. But I'll pull out like a running knee, and yeah, so it gets a different reaction from the crowd. They don't expect it, and it's good fun to do.
Who's been passing through there? Is there any talents that are standing out?
Well, locally for me, there's absolutely tons. We're fortunate to live like in the Midlands, which is sort of like the hot spot of British wrestling. Like I'd argue to say it's the heart of British wrestling at the minute. There's guys that are being signed at the minute that are just unbelievable. There's a guy called Levi Mer that's just been signed with WWE. I met him like a year and a half ago, and we were in Oldbury backstage at a show, just having a chat and stuff like that. He was working a match on the show, I was working a match on the show. Next thing you know, the guy's getting signed. But there's so much talent in the local promotions. You've got like Kamikaze Pro are doing really well at the minute. Their sort of school have got shows that they run. They call Kamikaze Live shows. There's guys on there. There's guys called Second to None. Big guy called Mitch Gibbons, and his tag team partner, which is Luca, managed by Hammer Healy and Lucia Lee. That's a faction that they're brilliant together. They're just big, horrible, nasty pairs of work. Do you know what I mean? And they do brilliantly together. There's other guys that have come out. There's Danny Reed. He's a lot younger. He's more of your baby face sort of guy. He trains hard. He works hard, and he's got a good fan following so far, which is cool. You've got people that have been doing it for a while that the spotlight are only just finding them. Two of my particular favourites. I'm going to say this because they're great mates of mine as well. 2K and CJ Rollins, Alter Ego. They are two of the best hands in the Midlands. They can work with anybody. They can do anything, and they're brilliant. You've got other solo guys. You've got a guy called Devon Briggs coming through, who was a guy that I train with at PWL. Absolutely great hand, and he's just starting to find his feet now again on the independent circuit. You've got Chantal Jordan. She speaks for herself. She's absolutely everywhere at the minute. But we've got guys that are coming down from like Wales and stuff that are trying to wrestle, like this guy called Bishop. Absolutely great hand. You've got like the likes of Alex Cupid, all guys that I've had on wrestling for, funnily enough. But they're so eager to work, and they've been brought in the right way. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable plethora of talent.
There's so many match types and capabilities with the amount of people coming through. It's been like this for a long time though, hasn't it, Alex?
Yeah.
Britain has been thriving, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and it's just going from strength to strength, and it's good because we've got a diverse sort of age gap now, where the new talent coming in are being mentored by the older talent, which I didn't say you never normally got, but like in the 70s and the 80s, you wouldn't have got that as much. It was a case of sink or swim. But I like to think there's a lot more harmony in the backstage than there was in the sort of, I can't speak for, from first-hand experience because, it was always pleasant when I was doing it, but from like the older guys, from what they've been saying, the sort of backstage vibe now is a lot more healthy than what it used to be, which is nice. People are looking out for each other and helping each other more than they ever have been, which is nice.
Always good, man. Just to go back to you, have you sustained any injuries?
Yeah, like I've had a couple of dings and knocks and stuff like that. You do pick up them along the way. The worst one I've got is I tore my rotator cuff in my shoulder. That was pretty severe. That put me out for almost a year. That did. Probably over a year actually. Yeah, it was. That really limited what I could and couldn't do. Set me back massively. Yeah, but that's probably the worst of it. Thankfully, it didn't require surgery. It wasn't as bad as they thought. But yeah, it was definitely a long time before I could even pick up a pint of beer with that hand, let alone like a person. So
I like younger people who listen to the show to hear this. Guys that want to go into it.
Yeah.
This is the nature of it, isn't it? You're gonna get injuries, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's just part of it.
The best thing you can do, and it was the best thing I was always taught, is just work safe before you practice all the big moves and all the flash things that you see on TV. Work safe. Like, practice the basics over and over and over and over again until you're sick of them, and then practice them another 100 times more. I can't stress that enough. It's the way I was taught to do things, and it's always served me well. Also, bring a first aid kit with you to shows. Just look after yourself, do you know what I mean? Like, in my bag, I've always got, like, antiseptic wipes, I've got bandages, tape, all sorts, anything that you'd need just in case of an injury, just to make sure, so I know I can look after myself, painkillers and stuff like that. I mean, it's not too bad nowadays, because, like, most places have got, like medical staff on standby and first aid kits and stuff, but it's always good just in case that at least you've got yourself covered. Yeah.
So it's so professionally done, isn't it? At shows, even regional shows.
It is, yeah. It's come a long way from how it was to how it is. I think the more it's developed, people have realised, well, hang on a minute, we don't have to work in a grungy room and like have no sort of care and responsibility for the workers. We don't have to do this anymore. We don't have to work for these people. So they've eventually weeded themselves out.
Now, obviously, I've had some background on you. I'd just like to hear about your depression, if we could talk about that.
Of course, yeah.
Just to, maybe segue out the wrestling a bit, a bit more personal to you, because obviously I know you'll want to talk about it and the listeners will want to hear about it. It's your story. So yeah, just if you could talk about the bout of depression you had.
Yeah, so it was when I picked up my injury, really, more than anything. I had a lot going at home, personal wise, that I won't go into, but I was shouldering a lot of responsibility. I took a lot on. I was dealing with a lot of things. There was a lot of things that I couldn't do before that I could do. That I could do before that I couldn't do now. I'd sort of lost my escape, because wrestling was my sort of escape from like the real world. Even if I was just at the gym, like it was always wrestling related, because I was only at the gym because I wanted to be a good wrestler. So yeah, I found myself spiraling massively. Not even realising it to start with, and like it was awful. Like I'd wake up some days and I'd lie in bed for hours at a time, and like people think, oh, that's just being lazy. It's not me. It wasn't doing it because I was being lazy. I'd just wake up and I'd just lie there. The same as I'd get up and I'd go downstairs and I'd sit on the sofa. It felt like seconds, but it had been hours that I've just wasted being sat in the same place. I'd get emotional just randomly. I'd just sit there and I'd just get upset over nothing, and then without thinking, I'd put on the brave face in front of everybody else, and no one would ever think there was anything wrong with me. It was a long time that I dealt with sort of that for. Like I said, I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't want to put my burdens on anybody else. I felt like there was no one that I could talk to, because I was always meant to be this happy-go-lucky, quiet, confident person, and here I was sat in my living room sobbing my eyes out with absolutely no reason for it. Yeah, it was a very, very difficult time.
Thanks for talking about this, Alex.
No.
It's good that you can talk about it now, and this will help people tell you.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I started doing what I was doing, because I isolated myself so much, and it took me a while to get friendships back and stuff. And all I can say is that if anybody is feeling that way out there, it's normal. Like, it's okay to be sad and down and depressed. Like, people deal with this a lot more than you think. So don't think you're a burden on people by struggling, because you're not. Because I guarantee you there are many more people out there that want to help you that will roll their eyes and go, oh God, this again. Do you know what I mean? More people out there will want to help you than want to put you down, I promise you that.
That's it, man. That's it. It's what's been happening currently with you within wrestling?
So mainly while I've been recovering and getting myself back in shape and stuff, I started up a promotion. I say I started up a promotion. I did one show. my next door neighbour, her daughter was very severely epileptic as a child, and this charity had donated so much like equipment, and they'd got them booked in for medical appointments and stuff that were near impossible to get hold of. And this charity had sorted it all out, and she said to me, I want to raise some money for them. Have you got any ideas? And I said, yeah, I'll put on a wrestling show as a bit of a joke. And then it developed, oh, actually, no, hang on. I've told them I'm going to do a wrestling show. Now I've got to do a wrestling show. So I've begged, borrowed, stole, pleaded with anybody that I could. I've got a roster together. I've got a venue together. Massive shout out to Fight Club Pro. They donated their ring for me, and we put this show on in the middle of a town that didn't really have wrestling, and raised a decent bit of money for them, and put on, I'd like to say, a relatively good show, with some names that, you know, I'm to be honest, I'm surprised that I got.
Who'd you have on, Al?
I had the Hunter Brothers. I had Clint Margera. I had Chuck Mambo. I had Sean Custom. I had Mr. Williams. Who else did I have? I had a load of people. Racking my brain. Alex Cupid, Damon Moser, Amari. There was so many people that, like Elliot Jordan. So many people that like donated and wanted to come down and help out. It was unbelievable.
It's a powerful business, mate.
It is, mate. It is.
Do you get a chance to watch wrestling? Now, I ask people within the industry, and a lot of the time they say they don't get a chance to watch it.
I watch as much as I can. Some days, some weeks I can watch more than others. But yeah, I try and watch anything and everything. I'll be honest, I do neglect the whole Japanese side of things a lot. But your mainstream sort of American wrestling and anything that I can get on Turnbuckle TV and stuff like that. Massive shout out to Turnbuckle TV as well. What a service that they provide. I try and watch as much as I can.
What have you been watching? Which promotions?
Well, you've got the main ones run by me, which are Kamikaze and Fight Club.
Yeah.
They're putting on incredible shows every month. But then I've been watching a lot of TNT. I've been watching a lot of DNA wrestling. There's so many wrestling resurgence. They're doing some absolutely incredible things. Progress are obviously Progress. You can't complain with Progress. Just also as much as I can. There's a lot of local guys. There's like New Breed, Full Force. They're also local to me. That they're on Turnbuckle TV. That are doing great things as well. Hope Wrestling, Sacrifice Wrestling. They're brilliant. They're all brilliant. And, like, everybody should be watching them. They're brilliant. UBW, they're another one. Yeah, they're great. They're great.
What about internationally? Like, obviously, I'm just going to say them. I'll say the main two, like the E and AEW.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I watch more of the E than the AEW.
Yeah.
I do. I'm a suckler for the old school, and AEW is a good product and stuff like that. But the thing that spoils AEW for me is like some of the fans are idiots. Like some of the stuff that I read online, it just drives me absolutely insane.
What have you read?
Just people just can't enjoy a product for what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it always seems like it's point scoring, and they're always trying to. AEW is better than WWE because of this. Oh no, WWE is better than AEW because of that. And like, I get it, it's healthy to have competition at some point, but like, I just get bored of it. I do get bored of it a hell of a lot. And like, the thing that annoys me with AEW a lot as well is they all proclaim that they're, you know, oh, it's a new generation of wrestling, and you know, we're breaking away from the WWE. And I think to myself that half of the guys on the roster were ex-WWE guys, and I'm sick of them calling shots and stuff like that, you know. They're always having a sly dig at WWE and all the promos and stuff like that. And I'm just like, you don't need to do that. You're better than that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stop it. Just stop.
Don't state it in the first place, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. We all know what you're doing. We all know why you're there. That's enough.
I watched Dynamite from last night. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I've seen the reveal of who it is. Yes, Mr. Are we allowed to say who?
Yeah, it's all right.
It's Brody Lee.
Yeah.
Which do you know what I think's brilliant for him? Absolutely brilliant. He's a hell of a worker, a hell of a character.
Yeah. It was just in Bray Wyatt's shadow where he's always been able to speak, hasn't he? didn't give him the platform, did they? Which
No.
they had umpteen chances with him as Luke Harper, didn't they? They tried it a little bit, didn't they? But they never pulled the trigger for me on him.
No. I mean, he had a good intercontinental title.
Yeah, he was Ziggler in that.
He had a couple.
Yeah.
I think he had a couple, actually. But yeah, no, he could have been a main player. But the thing is with WWE is there are so many people there that could be main players. It's inevitable that, more are going to fail than that are going to succeed because there is only one top spot and everybody's trying to get to it. So whereas AEW seem to be picking up everybody and having everybody have a fair share slice of the pie, but again, it's inevitable that there's only one AEW champion, so there's only one top spot.
What's your view on the empty stadiums and the Performance Centre filming being empty?
I think it's brilliant. I think in a time where everybody's struggling and everybody's getting a bit peed off and, they're fed up and they're stuck at home quarantining and stuff like that in isolation, the fact that they're still making sure that they can produce content for their fans, what's got to be a huge financial loss for them because they're not earning anything in ticket sales, they're not earning anything in merchandise revenue. So you've got to understand that they're probably running at a hell of a loss, but they're still making sure that they put out content for the fans to watch, and I think that's what we need.
No, I'm with you on that. Obviously, the amount of sport. I tell you what was on, just to go off the wrestling topic. The Aussie Rules football was on live today on BT. No one in the stadium, but there can't be much sport going on outside the wrestling now.
No, there's not. Everything's been cancelled. Like even local sports and stuff, because there's a couple of pub teams and stuff that I'm involved with and stuff, and like pool teams have been cancelled.
Yeah,
darts has been cancelled. So everything that you used to do during the week has all been cancelled. So you've got nothing. So the fact that wrestling is still carrying on, like that to me is brilliant.
I like what AEW did last night as well. They had MJF, Sean Spears, Sammy Guevara was down there at one point. He was singing Jericho's music when he's coming out Judas, but they had heels and faces either side at ringside.
Yeah.
So it give it a little bit of atmosphere.
Well, this is it. This is the chance now for them for everybody to try something different and see how it works. But like I say, I'm grateful that wrestling's not gone anywhere.
What about WrestleMania being done over 2 days? What are your thoughts on that one?
If anybody can make anything like this work, it's the WWE. I'm looking at it from an outsider's point of view, going, "Oh, this is going to be terrible. This is going to be awful." This is going to be strange. But I understand why. It's one of those. How can I put this? It's experimental, and it doesn't matter what happens. This WrestleMania will always be talked about. They're
obviously using Rob Gronkowski as well, aren't they?
Yes, they're using him to sort of like host it, aren't they, or something?
It's obviously it can polarise wrestling then, can't it? They can get they can get everyone involved, can't they? Football fans, NFL fans. So I can kind of understand the way it is. It does make sense to me that.
Like I say, if anybody can pull anything like this out of the bag, it's going to be a company like the WWE. It's either going to be brilliant or it's going to be awful, but either way, it's going to be remembered.
I just get it's people moaning about it. It's out of their hands.
Yeah, I get it, but what would you rather them do? Would you rather them go, all right, stop, we'll pause everything until we can have a show in the stadium again, and then we'll start WrestleMania again? Because that's not going to work. You've got storylines that they've been building, and you can't just now stretch these storylines over for another 2 months or another 3 months or however long it's going to be, because they're just going to get old, boring and stale. So you've got to end these storylines somehow, and I think this is the best way to do it. I read somewhere that they were going to have like the Hall of Fame or something at SummerSlam. All it'll mean is that SummerSlam will be the big pay-per-view this year rather than WrestleMania.
Which, it's not necessarily a bad thing in the grand scheme of things, is it?
No, not at all.
They get a good pull for SummerSlam, don't they? So yeah,
exactly.
You can delay that. It's fine. Just chuff the Bulldogs going in.
Yeah. Well, this is it. This is the thing that this is the only thing that I feel sorry for. Like all of these people, where it's their first ever WrestleMania and their first ever big sort of spots in WrestleMania. They're going to have sort of like a diluted experience. But again, hopefully, like, this just means that next WrestleMania will be extra special.
The stadium in LA looks something else for next year.
Oh, when that thing's going to be ready, it's going to be unbelievable.
My missus won't let me go anymore. Like that used to be my yearly thing. Used to go over with the lads, you know.
I'm very jealous. I've never been.
Unbelievable, great trips. Like, you know, couldn't recommend it enough as a holiday. We've had, you know, one of the guys has been 10, 11 times now.
Wow.
It's just incredible. I've made a really good bunch of pals, you know, out of going to him. So yeah,
that's amazing.
Funnily enough, one of my mates is from down your end. He's like Samwell and Dudley end. So
oh, right, okay.
Yeah. My mate Ant, yeah, so he's not far from you, like, so yeah, but yeah, if you can ever get to one, mate, I recommend it.
I think I want to tell the missus it's time to put my foot down.
LA would be a good one.
It wouldn't half, especially that new building. Wow.
Alex Talbot, also known as the Chosen Man, Xander Calaway, thank you very much for coming on today, mate.
It's been my absolute pleasure.